The ballroom was filled with billionaires, cameras flashing, champagne pouring, but in less than 60 seconds, a single sentence turned a $900 million deal into dust, and one woman's silent power shook the entire room. This is the story of how a black woman CEO walked away from one of the biggest deals in tech history, not because she had to, but because she refused to be disrespected. The entire ballroom froze. Crystals from the chandelier shimmered above, casting golden light over a room filled with elegance, money, and power. Waiters in white gloves moved like shadows, carrying silver trays of hors d'oeuvres and glasses of sparkling champagne. The event was flawless. Every inch of the grand ballroom at the Waldorf had been tailored to perfection for one purpose, the celebration of a historic business partnership. At the center of it all stood Jordan Matthews, radiant in a sleek black evening gown, exuding the calm confidence of a woman who had earned every ounce of her success. She wasn't just the CEO of Novatech Innovations, she was Novatech. The visionary. The founder. The leader. Tonight was supposed to be her night. Novatech was about to sign a $900 million deal with the Winthrop family, a name synonymous with old money and generational wealth. The Winthrops were the gatekeepers of legacy influence. Owning stakes in everything from oil and real estate to politics and tech, they were the kind of family that didn't shake hands, they offered empires. This partnership was monumental. The deal would take Novatech global. Jordan had negotiated it with precision, driven by her mission to expand AI access in underserved communities and schools across the world. The Winthrops wanted in, or so it seemed. As the press lined up their cameras and the band shifted to a soft jazz number, Richard Winthrop III, the eldest son of the family, raised his glass lazily and leaned toward his father. His tone wasn't loud, but it wasn't quiet either. "I still don't get how she ended up running the company," he said with a sneer. "Must have been one of those diversity quotas." It hit like a slap across the room. The kind of comment said in a whisper, but heard like a scream. A few at the Winthrop table laughed awkwardly, others went silent. Several people nearby turned their heads. One woman dropped her napkin. Someone coughed into their drink. Jordan heard every word. And for a brief second, time seemed to stop. Her eyes flicked toward Richard, calm and unreadable. She didn't flinch. She didn't let anger cross her face. Instead, she took a breath, let the silence settle, and did something no one expected. She smiled. It wasn't the smile of politeness or surrender. It was the smile of a woman who had been underestimated her entire life, and had come out stronger every single time. She stepped forward toward the microphone on stage, just as everyone assumed she was about to deliver the final toast before the signing. Instead, she turned her head slightly toward her assistant and said 2 words. "We're done." Then she gently set her champagne glass on the table, turned on her heel, and walked off the stage. No drama. No tears. Just precision and power. The room exploded in whispers. "Wait, what's going on? Did she say we're done? Is she walking away from the deal?" The press lowered their cameras. Executives scrambled. The Winthrops looked stunned. Richard sat frozen in his seat, his smirk replaced with confusion, then panic. Jordan didn't look back. She exited the ballroom as calmly as she had entered it. Behind her, an entire legacy family, and nearly $1 billion deal, crumbled in slow motion. What no one realized in that moment was that Jordan wasn't just walking out of a party. She was walking into a new chapter, one where her dignity wasn't negotiable, and her seat at the table didn't come at the cost of her identity. And that, right there, was the moment Jordan Matthews became more than just a CEO. She became a symbol, of courage, of boundaries, and of knowing your worth even when the room tries to ignore it. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing a person can do, is walk away. Before we get to the shocking twist, let's talk about Jordan. Because understanding who she is makes what happened that night all the more powerful. Jordan Matthews was never supposed to make it to the top, not according to the world, anyway. She was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, in a neighborhood that didn't make headlines unless something bad happened. Her mother, Denise Matthews, worked 2 jobs, one as a nurse's assistant and another cleaning offices at night, just to keep food on the table. Her father, a school bus driver, passed away when Jordan was only 11 years old. That loss shaped her. It taught her early on that life doesn't give second chances, and no one's coming to save you. But even then, Jordan was different. She wasn't just smart, she was relentless. She had vision. When other kids were watching cartoons, she was watching the news. When they played games, she read books about science, technology, and big ideas. She once told her mother at the age of 13, "One day, I'm going to build something that changes lives." Her mother just smiled. Not because she didn't believe her, but because deep down, she did. Jordan worked hard in school, often staying up late to tutor classmates and earn extra credits. She graduated valedictorian of her high school and earned a full scholarship to Howard University, one of the nation's most prestigious historically black colleges. At Howard, she didn't just thrive, she led. She became president of the Tech Club, launched her first student-run app for scheduling on-campus medical visits, and even won a National Innovation Award. Professors said she had Silicon Valley brilliance with Southern grit. After Howard, she was accepted into Harvard Business School. That's where her idea for Novatech Innovations was born, a tech startup that would create AI-powered tools specifically for healthcare and education systems in underserved communities. At first, nobody took her seriously. She was young. She was black. She was a woman. And she wasn't from money. Venture capitalists smiled politely and said things like, "Great concept, but not quite what we're looking for." She got 42 rejections before one investor finally said yes. That seed funding? She turned it into a forest. In just 6 years, Jordan built Novatech into a billion-dollar powerhouse. Her software was being used in public hospitals across 14 states and by school districts serving over 3 million students. Doctors could use AI to predict chronic illnesses earlier. Teachers could customize learning plans for students with learning disabilities. The impact was real, and growing. Investors respected her. Her team adored her. Competitors feared her. She was featured in Forbes, profiled by CNN, and named one of the top 10 women changing the face of tech. But Jordan never let it get to her head. She was focused, strategic, and above all, deeply principled. She believed in using technology to lift people up, not just to make the rich richer. Which brings us to the Winthrop Group. The Winthrops had been circling Novatech for a while. With their deep pockets and global reach, they saw Jordan's company as the future, and wanted in. After nearly a year of negotiations, meetings, and offers, both parties had finally agreed on terms. A $900 million partnership. Global expansion. Access to cutting-edge R&D. All the media outlets were ready to report it as a once-in-a-generation deal. And Jordan? She was ready to close the biggest chapter of her professional life so far. Not just for the money, but to accelerate Novatech's mission, scale its solutions, and bring her technology to the people who needed it most, around the world. But then came that night. The ballroom. The toast. The insult. And in the space of a single moment, everything changed. The deal was supposed to be a formality, just a polished bow on months of high-stakes negotiation. A fancy dinner. A few curated speeches. A signed contract. A room full of billionaires, journalists, and industry leaders snapping photos of what was being called the tech partnership of the decade. The ballroom shimmered with luxury. Crystal glasses clinked. Waiters glided through the crowd with practiced grace. Everything, from the flowers on the tables to the string quartet in the corner, had been chosen to impress. But Jordan Matthews noticed something off. It started subtly. During the first speech, when she was introduced as the visionary behind Novatech, no one at the Winthrop table clapped. They smiled, thinly. When she spoke about her company's mission to use AI to help underserved communities, Richard Winthrop III leaned in to whisper something to his cousin. They both laughed. Still, Jordan remained composed. She had walked into too many rooms like this before, rooms where she had to prove herself twice as much, just to be seen as equal. Rooms where success didn't shield her from scrutiny, where her presence alone felt like disruption. As the toasts began, glasses raised and cameras flashed. Then it happened. Richard Winthrop III, heir to the Winthrop Empire, leaned toward his father and said, just loud enough for those nearby to hear. I still don't get how she ended up running the company. Must have been one of those diversity quotas. His voice was laced with arrogance. No shame. Just entitlement. There was a sharp pause at the Winthrop table. A couple of nervous chuckles. A woman in a silver gown looked away uncomfortably. One of the younger executives coughed, clearly unsettled. Jordan heard it all. And so did many others. She didn't flinch. Didn't let the insult land on her face. Instead, she stood up, slow, deliberate, and picked up her champagne glass. Everyone assumed she was about to deliver the final toast. Seal the deal. Flash a smile for the press. Instead, she turned toward Richard. With all due respect, she said, her voice calm but sharp, I built Novatech from nothing. No handouts. No quotas. Just grit and excellence. And I won't stand beside anyone who questions that because of the color of my skin. The room went completely silent. The smile on Richard's face vanished. Jordan looked to her assistant, gave a simple nod, and without another word, turned and walked out of the ballroom, her heels echoing like a drumbeat of power. She wasn't just walking away from a dinner. She was walking away from a $900 million deal, and toward something even bigger. Her self-respect. The next morning, the news exploded. It was on every major outlet. CNBC, Forbes, CNN, even international headlines. You couldn't scroll on social media without seeing her name. Jordan Matthews cancels $900 million deal after racist comment at gala. CEO walks out in power move heard around the world. When integrity beats wealth, the Jordan Matthews moment. Clips from the gala circulated online, even though filming had been restricted. A few attendees had caught snippets, Jordan standing tall, calm, and delivering her now famous line, no handouts. No quotas. Just grit and excellence. It went viral. On Twitter, thousands posted messages of support. On LinkedIn, professionals wrote essays calling her a masterclass in leadership. On TikTok, creators stitched her story with motivational videos, calling her the CEO we all needed. Some were shocked. Some were inspired. But everyone agreed on one thing. Jordan Matthews didn't just walk away from a deal. She stood her ground, and the world noticed. Meanwhile, the Winthrop family scrambled to contain the PR disaster. Their team issued a rushed, carefully worded statement. We deeply regret that a comment made at the event was misunderstood and taken out of context. The Winthrop Group remains committed to diversity and inclusion. But it was too late, and it rang hollow. People weren't buying it. Commentators pointed out how the apology never directly addressed Richard's remark. Others criticized the family's long history of exclusivity and corporate gatekeeping. It was clear, this wasn't just about one comment, it was about the culture behind it. Jordan, on the other hand, didn't do interviews. Didn't rant on social media. She didn't need to. Instead, she released a single, powerful statement. Respect is non-negotiable. No amount of money is worth compromising my values, my dignity, or the example I set for others. That was it. A few lines. No fluff. Just clarity. And that statement hit harder than any PR spin could compete with. In the days that followed, something incredible happened. Other companies came calling. Not just tech giants, but health systems, school networks, even international firms. Brands that shared her vision. CEOs who admired her courage. Investors who didn't just want Novatech's AI, they wanted Jordan's leadership. Within 3 weeks, Novatech signed 4 new partnership deals, all with organizations that publicly supported Jordan's values. The company's valuation skyrocketed by $400 million. Her team grew. Her influence multiplied. And her walkout became a case study in leadership programs at Harvard, Wharton, and MIT. In boardrooms around the world, executives discussed the Jordan Principle, the idea that true leadership isn't just about profit margins, but principles. That a CEO who knows her worth is more powerful than one who settles for approval. Parents showed their daughters her story. Young founders saw her as proof that you can rise and remain true to yourself. One commentator put it best. Jordan Matthews reminded us all, your seat at the table means nothing if you can't sit there with dignity. For Jordan Matthews, this was never just about money. It wasn't about the cameras, the champagne, or the $900 million that almost changed her company overnight. It was about something far more important, self-respect. In a world where powerful rooms often come with silent expectations, to smile, to play along, to not cause a scene, Jordan broke the script. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't retaliate with anger. She stood tall, said her truth, and walked away without blinking. Because when you know your worth, no one, not even a billionaire dynasty, can shake you. She reminded the world that success isn't just measured in deals and dollars. It's measured in the strength to uphold your values. It's in the ability to say no when others expect you to say yes. It's knowing when a seat at the table isn't worth it, not if you're being asked to leave your dignity at the door. And Jordan didn't just prove it with words. She proved it with action. By walking away, she didn't lose, she led. She showed millions that principles matter. That integrity, once compromised, can't be bought back. That you don't have to shrink yourself to fit into rooms where you're barely tolerated. You can build your own table. Better yet, invite others who were once left out to sit with you. Her story became more than just a headline. It became a message. To every woman who's ever been underestimated. To every person of color who's had to work twice as hard to be seen as half as capable. To every underdog who's been told they're lucky to be in the room. Jordan's message was loud and clear. You belong, but not anywhere you're not respected. And if someone insults you at their table, flip it. Walk away. And build something better. Because sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do, is say no. Speech balloon. Now we want to hear from you. Backhand index pointing right. What do you think? Was Jordan right to walk away from $900 million? Have you ever been in a situation where standing up for yourself cost you something, but earned you even more in return? Tell us in the comments below, your story might inspire someone else. Thumbs up if this story moved you, hit the like button. Bell subscribe for more powerful real-life stories and Outbox tray. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder. Dignity is non-negotiable. This is more than a business story, this is a story about courage. And courage? Courage changes everything.